Audiences have spoken. They really like Pennywise the Dancing Clown. The star antagonist of the two recent It films, adapted from Stephen King's book, Pennywise terrorized the town of Derry, Maine, using fear as his weapon. Pennywise was played masterfully by Bill Skarsgård, who added his own mannerisms to the character. But the Pennywise we saw on the big screen isn't exactly the same as what you would read in the book.
What's it, though?
The name of the book.
What is?
No, it is.
What?
It.
The film made some interesting changes that we're here to uncover just what makes Pennywise so different on the big screen.
Ooh, scary.
Pennywise, or It, as he's referred to by the kids of the Losers Club, is an ancient evil that originated from interstellar space. He has the power to shapeshift and manipulate his environment with the use of illusions. He loves to use fear as his primary weapon, which is why he often hunts children, as they are more fearful than grown-ups. It can also hide from adults, making the children even more afraid as they begin to feel isolated in their fear. Despite being a shapeshifter, it loves to take on the appearance of Pennywise the Dancing Clown. The reason for this is Stephen King rightfully agreeing that clowns are the monster that scares children the most. He's not wrong, clowns are the worst.
Wait till they get a load of me.
From there, Pennywise was created as the symbol and mascot of fear itself. The book, of course, would go on to become one of Stephen King's most beloved and frightening novels. In case you've never seen the book before, it is massive, and because of that, a lot was cut and changed when it came time for adapting the movie for It Chapter 1 in 2017.
The book also explains that Pennywise likes to kind of marinate them in fear before eating them, but we're not going to explain that either.
We're not going to explain that either.
For its 2019 sequel, the film came in at just under 3 hours, with over an hour of footage being cut from the final cut. Thankfully, director Andy Muschietti and his producing partner Barbara Muschietti confirmed an extended cut of the film is in the works for home video at some point, meaning that you'll get that 4-hour version of the movie. We mentioned that Pennywise loves to target children, and one of the most heartbreaking scenes in It Chapter 2 was written specifically for the movie. So thankfully, you don't need to relive the sudden and abrupt loss of Victoria. She's the little girl with the birthmark on her cheek who investigates below the bleachers and comes across Pennywise. The scene evokes the confrontation between the clown and Georgie in the first movie, showcasing how easy it is for the demon to manipulate children. Victoria almost gets away, not fully trusting Pennywise, but the clown works his charm, resulting in the horrible death of the character. Guess the writers were feeling particularly gruesome that day. To drive the nail in the coffin, Victoria is the little girl from the beginning of the movie who's gifted the stuffed animal from Adrian before the assault happened. As we know, Pennywise was waiting at the end of the river after that attack, which means that the demon likely had his eyes on Victoria as if he was observing the events at the carnival. For these adaptations of the movie, many things were changed. Some of them are more superficial, such as Chapter 1's setting being updated from the 50s to the 80s, and Chapter 2's being contemporary as a result of that change. Other changes include the omission of Maturin the Turtle from the plot, but with the change in setting, some things involving Pennywise changed with it. Because the first film is set in the 80s, Pennywise's perception of pop culture icons has since changed. Actually, he seems to have no interest in it at all in the remake. In the novel, King was able to include references to films like Creature of the Black Lagoon, Frankenstein's Monster, and others, which he tied back to Pennywise's shapeshifting ability. He would take on the image of icons like Boris Karloff's version of the Mummy, which haunted Ben. Likewise, Richie saw a werewolf that was meant to invoke I Was a Teenage Werewolf in the books.
You're scared, and we all are.
In the film, he instead sees a room full of clown dolls, with Pennywise hiding among them. Stan is haunted by that creepy painting in the 2017 movie, but in the book, he sees 2 kids who died in the standpipe. Apparently, Muschietti thought Mike got it too easy in the book as he saw a freaky-looking bird. In his movie, Mike sees a fire that reminds him of the death of his parents, complete with hands reaching out from behind the door. Bev and Eddie's encounters, the bathroom and the leper, aren't too far off from the source material, in fact. Despite there being no classic monsters in the actual movies, there is a call-out to the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, which is playing at the Derry Cinema. Too bad Freddy didn't come out to terrorize the kids in this version. Imagine if Warner Brothers got Robert Englund to cameo? Missed opportunity! Despite being a scary movie that came out in 2017, the filmmakers or the studio likely felt the first movie needed to have a bit more action to please modern audiences. So the climactic showdown with Pennywise was rewritten to have more terror and action than was initially written, which was more of a battle of intelligence and wits due to a certain ritual. As we mentioned earlier, absent from the film is the help and guidance of Maturin the turtle. This massive creature is one of the guardians of the Dark Tower, and advised young Bill about the ritual of the Chüd in the novel.
Well, that sounds fine to me.
The ritual is a battle of wits that pits the losers against fear itself. The kids believed it worked and that they killed Pennywise with the power of the ritual and a silver dollar shot from a slingshot. Of course, the ritual failed and it eliminated Maturin on another galaxy years later. Thankfully, the losers got the ritual right the second time around. In the film, however, the kids stand up to fear and belittle it before doing physical harm to it, seemingly ending it forever. The ritual of Chüd does not make any sort of appearance while they are children. In the film version of Chapter 2, the Chüd is more like an actual ritual, complete with totems and props that are used in tandem with incantations. All of this is done without the help of Maturin. In the novel, the kid version of Ben finds information about the ritual in the library and uses that as the stepping stone for gathering information on it. Mike and Richie are the only ones who are granted visions and are transported back millions of years and actually get to see it crash on Earth from space. The ritual was last attempted years and years ago, but failed in Chapter 2. Pennywise tells the losers that the ritual won't work because it failed already, and reveals that Mike knew this already. In the books, Mike never deceives the losers, and the ritual was never performed before in the past. Because the book is non-linear, which means that the events of the past and present flow between each other, the two showdowns with Pennywise happen at the same time as you read it, whereas the film adaptations occur linearly. Here's another shocker that only the book readers will know. Despite often appearing as a clown, and more importantly as a male clown, it is actually a female creature. The Losers Club notice this while investigating the sewers and find a batch of eggs that it has laid. One of those creatures is bad enough, but a whole horde of them would have spelled certain doom. The kids thankfully find these eggs and Ben destroys them before they have time to hatch by stomping all over them. This aspect is cut entirely in the movie, and Pennywise's gender is never even brought up as the losers constantly refer to the clown as it.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
While not a direct connection to Pennywise, this part from Chapter 2 ties directly back to it and his fear tactics, so you bet it qualifies. The scene we're referring to is the fortune cookie scene. After being apart for decades, the losers come back to Derry and slowly start to remember events from their past. As they catch up at an Asian restaurant, having already learned about the loss of Stanley, the losers open up their fortune cookies. No matter if you prefer the book version or the film version, this scene may deter you from eating a fortune cookie ever again. As the cookies begin to open, a specific terror associated with each character begins to emerge. With Bev seeing blood, Bill sees a fly, Eddie ends up seeing a cricket, and Richie sees an eye. The eye might seem random, but he really is afraid of eyes. However, in the film, Pennywise threatens to reveal Richie's secret, which is the romantic feelings he has for Stan, something that's hinted at in the books, but all but confirmed in the movie. From there, various terrors burst from the cookies, which aren't too far off from the source material, but different enough to be their own thing. Everyone at the table sees this collective terror, which includes a half-formed bird, a bulbous insect with the head of a baby, a crawling eye, and a one-winged bat. Dark, blood-like acid then claims the table. For the final battle with it when the losers are adults, they get to see what it really looks like in its true form. The film isn't too far off the mark, but also deviates from what Stephen King initially wrote down. Despite being a shapeshifter, its true form is that of a giant spider. In the movie version of Chapter 2, Pennywise does become something like a spider, but he retains the clown face of Pennywise at the same time. It's during this conflict that Eddie meets his end, no matter if you saw the movie or read the book. But of course, the how is what separates the two events. In the book, the losers are attempting to do the ritual of Chüd, but are too weak to complete the task. Eddie knows his asthma pump is not actually real, it's a placebo, and imagines it's full of poison. Because Eddie's mind believes it's poison, it feels that effect when he gets a full pump down its throat. In the process, however, Eddie's arm is taken, and he eventually passes due to blood loss. In the movie, the spider version of Pennywise impales poor Eddie with one of his spider legs after Eddie tries to use a spoke that kills monsters if he believed it hard enough. Eddie holds on long enough though and gives the losers the idea for how to actually win in the end.
What do you want me to do about it?
No matter which version of events you think fits better narratively or which you think is more brutal, it sucks terribly for Eddie either way. Another difference from the finale is just how Pennywise met its end. In the book, the spider version of it gets wounded thanks to, of all things, Eddie's inhaler. It tries to get the losers to spare it, but that obviously doesn't work. The losers proceed to punch the spider's body until they breach the exoskeleton, and Bill crushes Pennywise's heart in his hands. In the movie version of Chapter 2, the losers get it to shrink down in size when they decide to make it feel small. Once it is tiny, Bill reaches in and grabs the heart, and all the losers who are left crush the heart together. With the passing of it, there is one final difference that occurs in the book that happened differently in the movie.
Yeah, but how do you know? I just know.
It is an evil cosmic presence and has a powerful hold over the town of Derry, so when he bites the dust, his influence also fades away. As such, the members of the Losers Club all begin to forget everything that happened once Pennywise is no longer there to enforce his will. Even Mike, who stayed in Derry and remembered everything, notices he's starting to blank. The idea is that they get to live their lives without any of the trauma that they had to endure from Pennywise. In the movie, however, the losers all retain their memories, but more importantly, the friendship between each other. The losers are happy and stay in contact with each other, which seems like the better ending at the end of the day. What do you think about the endings? Have a preference? Those are the major differences between Pennywise and the book written by Stephen King in the recent duology of films. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in your playlist every day. Thanks for watching.